Hello, my name is Carolyn Jones and I'm a board member for Bayside Community Hall. I'm going to tell you the story of a tragedy that is playing out in communities all across California. The National Grange of the Order of Patrons of Husbandry is a fraternal mutual benefit organization, similar to the Masons or Elks, founded in 1867 to promote rural and agricultural interests. It has a hierarchical structure, with the National Grange at the top, followed by state granges and subordinate granges at the local level. In the 1930s, grange recruiters set out across the country to encourage communities to charter new chapters, and 16 new subordinate granges were started in Humboldt County. The National Grange issued each new subordinate a charter to formalize their affiliation. Most grange chapters then set to work to build or buy a hall in which they could meet. When Humboldt County's granges were chartered, most of them way back in 1932 and 1933, the rules about ownership and control of subordinate grange property in the National Grange Digest of Laws were clear and reasonable. Subordinates were responsible for all costs of procuring, managing, and maintaining a hall, and could assume rights as property owners in keeping with this responsibility. A subordinate grange property would become property of the larger grange organization only if that grange both ceased to function and made no other provision for the disposition of its property. But starting in 1987, the National Grange changed its property rules multiple times. It made it easier to revoke a grange charter and gave itself ultimate control over subordinate property. Subordinate granges remain responsible for all maintenance and management costs of their local property, but no longer have the authority to make important decisions about it. These changes are buried within the hundreds of pages of complex rules that govern the organization at its various levels. Over the past decade, the National and California State Grange have aggressively moved against local halls. First, they revoke the hall charter. Second, they demand the turnover of all property. And third, they file lawsuits to seize that property. 5 Humboldt County halls are on the brink of being taken from the local groups that have cared for and managed them for decades. These seizures have been executed via motions for summary judgment without any trials. California laws, which define the rights and responsibilities of corporations and property owners, have been nullified by vague single-page grange charters issued generations ago. And Humboldt County's halls are not alone. The Grange has spent millions of dollars suing its various chapters over the past decade, over $1 million in 2018 alone. While these local halls have the right to appeal, and some will, they will not be able to retain control of their property during the appeal unless they post large sums of money as bonds. To require bonds from groups that have worked tirelessly and conscientiously to manage their halls is insulting and unjust. It is also counterproductive. Though the Grange claims they will act only as custodians, holding property until new granges are chartered, there is every likelihood that halls will be shuttered, that the programs and relationships that they have nurtured in their communities will be discontinued, and that the hall properties will not be well maintained. How in the world can distant bureaucrats maintain buildings now visited almost daily by dedicated groups of local volunteers? The California State Grange is already holding around 20 halls in California. Each represents a loss to its community. Here is what Humboldt stands to lose if the Grange takes 5 more local halls. The Grange organization's heavy-handed pursuit of local hall properties has been relentless, but mostly under the radar. Judges in county after county have blithely accepted the authority the Grange organization assigns to its own charters, without examining Grange rules in any detail, and they have neglected to consider the rights and responsibilities under California law that are being set aside in the process. The Grange espouses many lofty ideals. They claim to value the pursuit of harmony, goodwill, and brotherhood, and the suppression of unhealthy rivalry and selfish ambition. They claim to oppose corporate oppression and to value cooperation and compromise. They claim to desire equality and fairness with protection of the weak and restraint against the strong. Their behavior does not live up to these ideals. It has been a very long time since the Grange organization was able to attract a membership that is both willing to be a Grange and to take care of a community hall. We have built, managed, and cared for these halls for more than 85 years, not for the Grange organization, but for our communities. Look at how many of Humboldt's halls have already been lost under Grange leadership. It is clear that the Grange organization does not know our communities and has shown no interest in them for decades. We have offered a reasonable compromise, including ongoing payments to acknowledge our Grange heritage and an agreement to always make a home for a reorganized Grange chapter to meet. They have ignored it. If the Grange takes these halls, our communities will suffer. Here's what you can do to help. First, spread the word. Share this video. Tell everyone you know about this injustice. Then visit saveourhalls.com. It has more information about the problem and links for making a pledge to a hall bond fund, signing a petition, and contacting political leadership. These are your community halls. Please help save them.